Hello and welcome to yet another video in this React series. Today we are going to take a look at how we can fetch data from APIs in React. We are going to take a look at this through different methods. First, we will take a look at this how we can fetch data through then and catch. We will also take a look at how we can use async await in React. Afterwards, I will tell you about a library called Axios, how we use that to fetch data in React. So let's get started. So I've already prepared a component by the name fetching APIs. It has just the basic and H1. This is how my browser looks right now. Nothing fancy. Let's create a button first. We will first fetch data on the click of this button. So let's call it get data. I said we will fetch data on its click. That means we'll have to use event on click. Get data from API. When the user will click this button, we will invoke the function get data from API. Fetch. Now, for this particular example, I'm going to fetch data from this API random user. All it gives you is a random photo, name, email address, phone numbers, password, etc. of random users. The API that we are going to use is this. Let's copy this. Rest of the code that I'm doing is exactly the same as it were in vanilla JavaScript. We'll fetch data, we'll fetch this API. When we'll wait, when the promise is resolved, then we will run this callback function, whatever response the first fetch give us. We will catch in this callback function. We will then invoke the JSON function from that response. The JSON function will return a promise. We'll wait for that promise to be fulfilled. When it does, whatever it returns, we will pass that on to our next then. Whatever this promise passes on, we will catch that in a variable result. This is what we are interested into. This is what we will be logging in the console. Let us see. When we click on the button, this is what we get. Now we are least interested with info. Results is what concerns us. So result.results, let's console that. Result.results will give you an array, just like this. Again, we are not concerned with length. Whatever object we have on index 0, this is what we are concerned with. So there you go. This will give you the object. This is the information of the random user. As you can see, the information will change on each button click. This is the second information. As you can see, data is different. There you go. If we want to print, let's say, the photo from this on our screen, let's do that. First, if we want to print an image, we shall have an image tag. For the src, let me have a state variable picture. Of course, we'll have to create that variable. Picture, and let's just set picture. Initially, the picture state variable will have a blank string, an empty string. But when we have the data, we will call the function set picture. We will pass on results 0. This is the object. From this object, we will call on picture key. From that, we will call on large. This will pass on the URL of the photo in the state variable. That when that happens, this component will be reloaded and you will see the photo on the screen. Let me just click on the button. There we go. Whenever we'll click on the button, we will have a different image. If you also wanted the name, yes, you can do that. Create another variable. for name, let's call the function set name, create an p, h1, h2, whatever name. That name will come from this function's, set name. Now, the name is stored in this API like this, dot name dot first. Let's see what has happened. Now, when I click on the button, you will have, okay, it is taking some time. Okay, the photo and the name. But yes, error management is absolutely important. If for some reason we do not get the data, so we'll call on the catch. So whatever the error is, let us simply console that error for now. Fetching data from API using fetch and then catch. You can do the same using async await as well. Let me very quickly show you how. The fetch function and the endpoint will be the same. Instead of writing dot then, we use the keyword await. Now, as you know, await has to come along with async. That is why, let me put this in a function so that I can call that function an asynchronous function. Async and await both will come in sync. Response. We'll wait for this to be fulfilled. When it does, whatever it returns, we'll store that in response. We will call the JSON function on the response object. We will wait for its promise to be resolved. When it happens, whatever it returns us, we will put that in result. Result dot results array on 0 index, the object, okay, picture dot large. We will put this in set picture. If you also wanted the name, let me just copy this because this is the same. However, fetch data is a function, so it needs to be called, invoked. So fetch data. There you go. The output, if we use then catch, if we use async await, the output will exactly be the same. Let me show you the button. I click on the button and there you go. We can also use a library in React known as Axios. This is the website, Axios HTTP. Axios is a simple library written in Node.js to fetch data from APIs. Since React itself is a library, anything from the outside has to be installed. So you need to install Axios. How can we do that? We open our terminal. Since our React is already running, we need to kill it. Control C or Command C. npm install Axios. Or you can write npm i Axios. This is how we install Axios. It will take few seconds. Done. We can again restart our React. If you are using Axios, it has to be installed as well as imported too. So let me comment it out and let me import now Axios. The way to do that is import Axios from Axios. Pretty simple. Axios. On the click of the button, we will still call get data from API. Yes. Inside get data from API, we will now call Axios.get. Instead of fetch, we are now calling Axios.get. Everything else will remain the same. The endpoint using then catch or using async await. Everything else will remain the same. Await. Now you know await has to come in sync with async. So function fetch data. Function needs to be invoked. So call the function fetch data. Yes, this is an asynchronous function. Asynchronous. One advantage with Axios. Now, if you remember with fetch, we first waited for its promise to be fulfilled. It gave us a response which contained the data not in the format that we expected. So we called on the JSON function. It gave us the JavaScript object. My point is we had to resolve two promises here, one of fetch, one of JSON. With Axios, what you get in the first step is directly the result. My point is, if you console logged response, you would get an object which will not contain the data. So you will have to again call the JSON function. Then you will have the data. With Axios, if you console log the variable result, you will directly have the data in it. Let me just show you. There you go. So we have the data in this object in the data key. Yes, what you can do is you can directly console log result.data. So when we'll click on the button, we will have results. Again, we are not concerned with info, so we can further write it like this, result.data.info. It will give us the array. We are concerned with what's on the zero index of that array. Okay, I think we did something wrong here. Oh, we didn't, we wanted the results. Sorry, not the info. We wanted the results. My bad. And we will have what's on the zero index of that result. There you go. Afterwards, everything is the same. You have two variables, picture and name. You just can call this and this. Slight modification. There you. We don't need this anymore. So when I'll click the button, you will still see the photo and the name. There you go. So I've shown you three ways how we can fetch data with APIs in React using fetch and then catch, using fetch but async and await, or using an external library Axios. In the next video, we will talk about component lifecycle. We will talk about a hook use effect, because in the next video, we will not use this button to fetch data from the API. We will fetch data as soon as our page loads. See you in the next video. Thank you.